Hey everyone, and welcome to This Explainer. I am really excited you're here today because we're looking at something that has absolutely transformed the way businesses build, deploy, and scale applications. For a long time, if a company wanted to build software or host a website, they literally had to buy, power, and maintain these massive, clunky physical servers. It was expensive, it was slow, and honestly, just a massive headache. But today, we've seen this monumental shift from owning physical infrastructure to cloud computing. So let's dive right in and decode those acronyms you hear literally everywhere: IaaS, PaaS, and SaaS. We're going to break these down really simply, using some real-world analogies so you understand exactly how modern businesses operate. To kick things off, let's just ponder a super simple question. Why own physical servers when you can just rent computing power? This is the core problem that cloud computing actually solves. Imagine buying an entire literal power plant just to keep the lights on in your house. No way, right? That wouldn't make any sense at all. You just pay the utility company for the electricity you actually use. Well, the cloud works exactly the same way for modern businesses. Why buy and maintain all this depreciating hardware when you can just rent the exact amount of computing power you need, exactly when you need it? Okay, here's our roadmap for today. First, welcome to the cloud. Second, IaaS, the empty house. Third, PaaS, the furnished apartment. Fourth, SaaS, the hotel stay. Fifth, comparing the cloud models. And finally, number 6, become a security engineer. Let's get into it. Section 1. Welcome to the cloud. I know the cloud sounds super abstract, but it really just means accessing computing resources over the internet, instead of owning that physical infrastructure yourself. Like we mentioned, companies no longer have to manage clunky physical hardware boxes in some freezing cold server room. This simple, elegant shift of accessing resources remotely, that lays the absolute groundwork for the 3 service models we're about to explore.
All right, Section 2, IaaS, the empty house, or infrastructure as a service.
So, IaaS. It stands for Infrastructure as a Service, and it is basically the most flexible cloud model out there. It provides you with the basic computing infrastructure. We're talking your virtual machines, storage, networks, and servers. Now, to make this stick, think of IaaS like renting an empty house. You get the building, right? You get the walls and the roof. But you, and only you, decide how to furnish it, how to arrange it, and how to manage everything inside. You have total freedom, sure, but you also have to do the heavy lifting of moving all your furniture in. Check out the clear contrast and responsibilities here on the screen. On the provider side, they manage the physical hardware, the physical servers, the networking, the storage, and the virtualization layer. That's your empty house. But look at what you manage on the other side: the operating system, your applications, your data, and crucially, your security configuration. You're attaining a very high level of control. But with that control comes the responsibility of managing the software environment all by yourself. To ground this in reality, a really fantastic real-world example of IaaS is AWS, or Amazon Web Services. A company might use AWS to launch virtual servers for hosting their own custom applications. So they rent the server space from Amazon, but the company's own IT team actually installs the operating systems, configures the databases, and builds the app completely from the ground up. Moving on to Section 3. PaaS, the furnished apartment, Platform as a Service. PaaS stands for Platform as a Service. This model provides a complete platform that lets developers build, test, and deploy applications without ever having to worry about the underlying infrastructure. Think of it like renting a furnished apartment. Everything is already set up for you. The couch is there, the bed is made, the electricity is running. You literally just move in and start working. Or, in the case of a developer, you just bring your code and start building. Let's see how this builds on our previous model. Look at how the provider's side of the list is growing now. With PaaS, the provider isn't just managing the physical servers and storage anymore. They are actually managing the operating system and the runtime environment too. So what does that leave for you? Just your application code, your data, and your business logic. It's awesome because it frees developers from infrastructure maintenance so they can focus entirely on just creating great software. Some really great real-world examples of PaaS include platforms like Roku or Google App Engine. Developers absolutely love these tools because they can just write their code and push it live to the internet almost instantly. They're deploying applications super rapidly without any of those traditional infrastructure headaches. They really don't care about how the server is patched or updated. The platform handles all of that seamlessly right behind the scenes. Which brings us to Section 4, SaaS, the hotel stay, Software as a Service.
SaaS stands for Software as a Service. This model delivers ready-to-use applications right over the internet. There is no installation, and there is absolutely zero infrastructure management required. You just log in and use it. Think of this one like staying in a fancy hotel. Everything is provided for you. You don't buy the furniture, you don't pay the utility bills, and you definitely don't do the housekeeping. You simply show up, enjoy the amenities, and let the hotel staff handle literally everything else.
And this brilliantly illustrates that ultimate convenience factor. Look at the management burden now. It is completely shifted over to the provider. The provider manages everything: the physical infrastructure, the operating system, the application itself, the software updates, and the underlying security. You, as the user, manage only your usage and the actual data you input. This makes SaaS the absolute lowest effort model for the end user. I guarantee you are using SaaS tools every single day without even realizing it. Excellent real-world examples would be Gmail, Zoom, Microsoft 365, or Dropbox. When you open your browser to check your Gmail, you aren't sitting there worrying about the servers powering it or how to update the email software. Google handles all of that. You just log in, write your email, and hit send. It is the ultimate plug-and-play experience. All right, Section 5, Comparing the Cloud Models, IaaS, PaaS, and SaaS. Let's synthesize all of this with a quick summary matrix. Down at the infrastructure level, we have IaaS, where you manage most things. Right in the middle, we have PaaS, which focuses on applications. And at the very top, we have SaaS, focusing on the finished software where you just use it. So the crucial takeaway here is this: the higher you go from IaaS to SaaS, the less you manage. But remember, inversely, the higher you go, the less control you have over that underlying environment. It is always a trade-off between control and convenience. Finally, Section 6, Become a Security Engineer. Understanding these cloud service models is totally essential for anyone looking to start a career in cloud computing, DevOps, or IT infrastructure. IaaS, PaaS, and SaaS form the very foundation of modern cloud architecture. Think about it. If you don't know the difference between the empty house, the furnished apartment, and the hotel, you really can't effectively architect, manage, or secure a modern business environment. Mastering these models is basically your mandatory first step. You just can't detect misconfigurations in an AWS server or manage compliance frameworks for a SaaS application if you don't fundamentally understand the layers we just talked about. Knowing exactly who manages what, you or the provider, is the key to securing the cloud and ultimately leveraging cutting-edge AI to remediate threats. So, if you're ready to turn this theory into some highly sought-after practical skills, the next step is pretty simple. To get hands-on experience and practical cloud learning, you really should visit Oz University. For those of you ready to jump right in, you will find the LinkedIn link for Oz University right down below in the description. I'll leave you with this. Now that you understand the foundation of the cloud, how will you secure it? Because knowing the difference between renting an empty house and staying in a hotel is really just the beginning. The real adventure is building the skills to protect the data living inside them. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer today. Stay curious, keep learning, and I'll catch you in the next one.